After witnessing Eric Kirby getting lifted into the air by a wild pteranodon, Brennan fastens the harness and belt of the salvaged DINO-SOAR paraglider and jumps off of the platform inside of the birdcage in an effort to both redeem himself of putting the group in danger and save Eric's life. Billy would eventually get to the boy while gliding around the rock structure Eric was stuck, and with an urgent demand, he would successfully intercept him and take him away from the nest he had been trapped in. Billy would then signal for Eric to jump and fall into the water that was underneath the large metal structure so that he could swim to safety with the rest of the group and make it out of this terrible place alive. Billy then gets his paraglider caught on the ledge of a large rock formation, and while he struggles to break free and catch up with Alan and the rest of his companions, he soon realizes he has to jump himself in order to survive. Billy descends into the water and hits the surface with a loud splash and makes a run for Dr. Grant and Paul Kirby. He's greeted with large talons in his back, however, when a pteranodon clamps onto his shoulders and pulls him 10 feet into the air before dropping him back into the water. Grant and the Kirby make their way towards Billy in an effort to save him when another pteranodon falls upon him with the first, and they begin to attack and tear at the man with fierce persistence. All of this is happening while Billy is being forced towards a strong current, and in his last screen appearance before the end of the film, he urges his group to leave and get out of the birdcage before the same happens to them. Billy is pecked and torn at until his body is underneath the water and pulled out towards what appears to be a waterfall or river system when the face of a third pteranodon turns and stares at the humans who showed up to help their friend and gives them an intense look of primal warning. Billy previously had stolen velociraptor eggs in an effort to help fund Grant's paleontology digs in the future, and thus lured the raptors into following the group and attacking them in an earlier scene. Billy understandably was looking for redemption and self-betterment when he jumped off of the railing in the birdcage to save Eric, no doubt feeling guilty for the death of Udesky, as well as responsible for the current situation of the group being hunted by the raptors on Sorna. Billy did what he thought necessary to save Eric as well as the rest of the group. This character is somewhat miraculously still alive at the end of the film though, and no explanation is given to how he survived his ordeal with the flying pterosaurs. If one closely looks at the last scene where the pteranodons are pecking at Billy when he's being pulled away by the flowing water, you can see a large amount of blood start to seep out into the river and soak all of the surrounding channel, in what signifies a serious injury and more than likely death for the character. This blood is not too dissimilar from the amount that bled out into the creek when Dieter Stark was killed by the Compies in The Lost World, and understandably, most of the audience members believe Billy to be dead. However, when the Coast Guard and Marines show up on Isla Sorna to rescue Alan, Grant, and the Kirbys, the group is greeted with a very badly injured Billy in a helicopter, waiting to return to the mainland. He even hands Grant his signature hat, which apparently he saved while being swept away downstream. Originally, he was supposed to die in the birdcage scene, and the character's arc would end in a sacrificial display of heroism while he is attacked and his friends can escape. But apparently there was a conflict of interest in seeing the character killed off, and instead of dying, Joe Johnston, the director, let the actor live and reprise his role at the end of the film. This is both puzzling and a bit coincidental, however I do believe it adds a nice scene where Grant gets to meet up with Billy after he damned him as a horrible human being for getting the group in such danger. That bit of recognition at the end of the film does feel quite satisfying. Personally, I believe it would have been more memorable and bolder to let Billy die after he was pulled away from the other members of the group, but I can understand why they chose to let him survive. Billy's exact methods of escape and meeting with the US military is somewhat hazy, but one can imagine that the river system he was drifting in probably led to the coast, where he was lucky enough to be picked up by the armed forces who were called in by Ellie. A bit coincidental, but nevertheless advantageous for a character who was just pecked to death by large pteranodons. Some way and somehow, the military did indeed find Billy and transport him onto their helicopters so he could make it off of the island and back home safely. It's doubtful that Billy was anywhere in the interior of the island when the rescue team found him, and more than likely that he drifted down a similar route Alan and the others took to get to the coast of the island. No explanation has been given directly to his survival though, and it's one of the many Jurassic Park scenes that are up for debate. In the future, I've got a ton of videos planned, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and keep up to date with my latest content. If you like the video, I'd appreciate it if you drop me a like. As always guys, take it easy.